NHL fans, the wait is over. The National Hockey League gets underway on Tuesday, October 11th, and last season, 8 WagerTalk handicappers won over 50 units in the NHL. To celebrate the start of the season, we are offering a 7-day NHL package for only $49. Yes, that's only $7 a day, and it will be valid through Sunday, October 9th. Don't worry, NBA fans, we'll be running the same special for you next week.
Happy Tuesday, guys. Welcome to WagerTalk TV. I am Carmine Bianco, and this is Stoppage Time Champions League Match Day 4, Tuesday and Wednesday this week. We're going to look at 3 games over the course of the next couple days. One goes today. That is AC Milan and Chelsea. And then we're going to look at a couple games tomorrow. Liverpool traveling to face Rangers and Tottenham at home against Eintracht Frankfurt. 3 big games, 3 games with importance as far as the group stages go. With me from WagerTalk.com, it's Nick Borrman and Kevin Dolan. And from Sports Memo, Pavlos, Laguretos. Let's bring the boys in to the show. Guys, 3 big games. There's a lot of really good games, but there's some, obviously, we're going to stay away from games like the Man City and Bayern Munich, who are favored by multiple goals. There's really only one way you can go on those ones. These ones, I think, are some pretty close ones, including this first one. But before we get to those games, guys, how was your weekend? Pavlos?
Amazing weekend. I escaped with plus 3 units of profit, which is really nice because on Sunday, I think something weird happened. But again, I'm more than happy to be adding profitable weekends, weekend after weekend. The Champions League plays and last week were amazing. I had a couple of 5% wins on Tuesday with Porto and on Wednesday with Juventus. And then on Thursday, I rocked the boat with Europa League and Europa Conference League plays, which I know you guys hate, but there's a lot of opportunities there. And mainly, in the goals, you just bet on both teams to score and over 2.5 goals. You don't care who wins. And then you just take it to the bank. So super excited about this midweek fixtures, but I think today is riddled with traps. That's why I have very, very few plays today, and tomorrow is going to be much better.
All right, well, good to hear you're adding a profit. It was a pretty good weekend, I think, for me. Some profit on the weekend. Not a great start on yesterday. I pitched the 0-2 in soccer. Fiorentina just looked non-existent, and then Steven Gerrard just continues to let me down with that Aston Villa team. But Nick, MLS playoffs are just around the corner. You absolutely killed MLS this year. Talk to us.
Yeah, the MLS Cup playoffs begin this weekend. Can't wait for that. Philly, my hometown team, looks awesome, and we had a future on them. Did a big article on Philly as a team to bet this year, so I have a season-long future on Philly to win. So hopefully that'll come through. But yeah, we have a MLS Cup playoffs package up right now. You can get the full playoffs for just $69. It starts this Saturday and runs through the Cup final, which is November 5th. So it's about 3 weeks. Every MLS play release will be included in there. So looking forward to that. I had a terrible run Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So happy to get the weekend past me. Thank God it's Champions League. I've done very, very well so far this year in Champions League. So looking forward to these next 2 days. And yes, Pavlos, I do not like the Europa League. I mean, it's not like I don't like it. I just can't win on it. So I'm gonna listen to what you tell me this time.
Yeah, Nick, and kudos to you. Listen, we all go through any bettor, any capper, anyone who puts money on a game. We're going to go through ebbs and flows in this sport. And as much as we love to talk about our winners, we got to talk about the losers as well too. It's a great thing on being transparent, and you are there. So best of luck to you. And for you guys out there, that deal, $69 for MLS, is a great deal, considering that's literally the price of 2 daily packages. And you're going to get every single play right through to the finals. And I'm sure there'll be a 5% play mixed in there along the way, if not one, at least, or 1 or 2 at the very least. Kevin Dolan, my man, tell me what's going on before we get going.
I had an exceptional weekend, Carmine. I'm pleased to report I went 7-1 across the weekend in soccer. We had winners in the EPL. We had winners in Spain. But of course, King of Spain, we're used to that by now. But and as well, I just thought I'd bring up as well, right? We went 2-0 in the MLS over the weekend. MLS has been absolutely exceptional. I'm 35-16 in the MLS, and Nick's still ahead of me. It's like, did Nick go 90-0 to start the season? Like, what's going on? I keep checking the rankings. I'm like, wow, Nick's still number one. It's like 35-16. But yeah, no complaints my end. Fantastic weekend overall.
It's funny because I was updating some numbers. I'm like, let me see how I'm doing in MLS, right? I go, I think I'm doing pretty well. I don't have the exact numbers, but I'm like, I'm only number 3 in MLS. I go, I know Nick's there. Who else is there? You have solved the mystery, Kevin, of who else is there. It is you. So we've got Nick, and then he's looking down at us. Nick's in the penthouse. Kev's got a very nice view, and I'm literally I got a basement apartment apparently. So great seasons for you guys in MLS, man. Just continue to kill it. But with that said, it's Champions League. So let's get right to it, guys. Let's look at the first game on the card here. AC Milan and Chelsea. AC Milan plus 208 at home. You almost never see odds like this on AC Milan at home. The draw is plus 238. Chelsea plus 134. Some beautiful plus numbers right across the board. Nick, I'm going to go to you first on this. All I'm going to say is I'm just going to give some a couple things of info or what my lean is in this game. I'm leaning Chelsea. I just think that game against Wolves was a better game for them. They're adjusting to the whole Graham Potter era now at Chelsea, and they ran over AC Milan in that game at Stamford Bridge on match day 3. It's tough. Anytime you go to San Siro, Milan, to play either AC or Inter Milan, it is a tough venue for visiting teams. But this is the kind of team Chelsea is, that they can go there and get the win. So I'm going to lean on them at that plus money price. I thought about laying the quarter goal, but I'm just going to take the plus money. That's my thoughts. Nick, tell us what you like.
Yeah, I don't hate that play, Carm, and I'm glad you came to me first because I had such a great read on this game the first time, taking Milan plus 3/4 of a goal, and of course they lost 3-0. So maybe I don't have the best read on this matchup, but for this rematch, I'm looking to the under here. We did see the 3 goals last week. That was done, though, on anywhere from 1.5 to 1.7 expected goals, depending on what site you're looking at for that kind of data. So there just wasn't a lot of chances either way. There was only a combined 14 shots in that game, including just 4 total shots for Milan. I would have to think this time around that'll improve a little bit. But Chelsea is back playing very well again defensively under Potter, and back-to-back clean sheets, just 2 goals allowed in 4 games as a manager for Potter. It's pretty solid so far. Milan, they rebounded with a nice win over Carm's Juventus on Saturday. Chelsea, they come in off a 3-0 winner over Wolves, which I was on the under in that game, and of course a late goal from Chelsea. No point needed, took me out there. But the winner of this match, there's a lot on the line here. The winner of this match, for all intents and purposes, will pretty much have their spot locked up in the knockout rounds, barring something really unforeseen happening. So I think this is going to be this is like that turning point game, right? So I think the winner, like I said, is in such a good position. I think both teams almost kind of approach this like a knockout style game in and of itself. And usually when we see that, you're going to see teams being very cautious, playing a little bit slower, especially in that first half. So you could look for something, a 0-0 score going in the first half. But I like the under here. I don't think you're going to see a lot of chances. I think both teams are going to be very cautious here. Nobody's going to want to fall behind and try to play catch up. And like I said, I think the winner is going to be in such a good position. This is a huge game for both teams. But again, I did not have a great read on it the first time, so I will caution you. But I do like the under 2.5 in this one.
All right, Nick Borrman of WagerTalk.com with the under in the game. And right now in that Group E, you have Salzburg on top with 5 points, Chelsea and AC Milan at 4, and then Dinamo Zagreb at 3 points. So this group is, as Nick mentioned, it's still up for grabs. There's still a lot to go with 3 match days remaining. Pavlos, I'm going to go to you next on this one. Listen, I was surprised when they went away from Mendy, but he struggled at the beginning of the year. I've never been a big fan of Rizabalaga in goal, but the guy has looked good. the last 2 or 3 weeks. He's looked very good between, and I don't see him giving up that spot anytime soon unless Potter somehow decides he wants to go back to Mendy. But with that said, we're going to look at Milan here with you, and I think you're looking at a goal or two.
Yeah, I'm looking. Actually, I'd have to say that I think the absence of Mendy is not due to stuff that happens on the pitch, but stuff that happens off the pitch. And I think he's under review about some mishaps that he did. So, again, Kepa was once the top signing, the most expensive signing of a goalkeeper, and then he had a fallout with when Sarri was in Chelsea. He's a great goalkeeper, but he never really got it going, and now he's seeing his chances, diminish. Now he got a third or fourth second chance to prove himself. I think he's grabbing it by the hair. Now, as far as Milan, they're still coming into this match with a lot of absences to key players, but their offense looks quite solid. Now they're coming off a nice win against Juventus by 2-0 over the weekend in a match where Rafael Leao he had a couple of shots in the crossbar. He didn't get in the score sheet, but he's been quite instrumental for this Milan attack. So far in the season, he has 4 goals and 4 assists in 8 Serie A matches and 2 assists in 3 Champions League matches so far. So he's surely going to be hell-bent on scoring because he had a couple of shots in the crossbar, and that's a huge dent for the psychology of of a striker. So I'm pretty sure he made a lot of finishing drills over the past few days, and just to play that devil's advocate, on my own self, I know it's not going to be easy because Leao plays at the left flank, and Chelsea are going to use Reece James as a wing back and Azpilicueta as a right centre back. So these are very quick players, and I'm not sure if Leao is going to be able to humiliate them because he can't be really. He showed flashes of grandeur, in that left flank. So. But again, I think the price is way too high for a player of his caliber, and judging by what he's done so far in the season, I think the plus 350 on Rafael Leao to score any time is way too high. That's why I'm jumping on it. Rafael Leao to score any time at plus 350. I think everybody's going to look to push Giroud out of the picture, and that's going to create a couple of passageways for Leao to score. So I like Rafael Leao to score anytime at plus 350.
All right, Pavlos with a scoring prop, Leao to score plus 350, and I don't care who wins. Final word goes to Kevin Dolan. Kev, tell us what you got.
Yeah, well, I think everybody's expecting a much better effort than we got last week from Milan. They did look far better at the weekend against Juventus. But, Potter ball, however you want to say it, it is really starting to take effect, as you mentioned at the start with this Chelsea team right now. They almost, look back to their best defensively. Back-to-back 3-0 wins now for the Blues. Nick mentioned as well, even more impressive is the fact they've held all of their last 5 opponents to a sub-1 XG rating, just 0.64 on average. So, they're heavily restricting opponent chances in games, especially since Potter took charge. And they're getting it done at the other end as well. Because of that, I do expect a much better effort from Milan tonight, especially at the San Siro. I don't want to be stepping in front of Chelsea. I would lean with them on the side, especially if you can get plus a quarter goal. Because, look, it's going to be a heavily rotated squad from the weekend's win over Wolves. So they'll be fresh for this one. And just as Nick mentioned also, I'm just not expecting, I think it'll be a fairly cagey game overall. I'm not expecting a ton of goals in this one either, especially with the way Chelsea are playing defence right now. And Milan as well. Look, Milan own Serie A's 3rd best defensive XG rating as well. So, I think we're getting 2 fairly good defensive teams in what's going to be a cagey game for top spots. So, the under 2.5 goals looks like the most appealing play for me in this one.
All right, Kevin, good luck with that play. Kevin Dolan of WagerTalk.com. Guys, let's get into the second one because I'm interested to hear thoughts from you guys on this one. We're going to look at Rangers and Liverpool. The odds on this one, the Rangers, a juicy 741 at home. The draw is plus 427. Liverpool, minus 292 on the money line. Kev, I'm going to go back to you on this one. We might have conflicting views on this one. Liverpool, I don't know what they did. I don't know what Klopp did in that game at the Emirates against Arsenal. A different type of lineup, and it did not work. Arsenal won that game. 3-2 scoreline. That wasn't as close as that scoreline actually shows. I think Arsenal played a fantastic game there. You go back to the previous game they played at home against Rangers on match day 3, 2-0 for Liverpool. Rangers played them tough in that game, and I have a feeling at home it's going to be equally tough. I'm not entirely sure we're going to see a ton of goals here, which is why I'm leaning to the under. The under is 3.25 goals, which is a split line of 3 and 3.5, and that's where I'm going myself on this one. So under 3.25 goals for me on this one, and let's get our first disagreement of the show.
Well, in terms of a side, Carmine, Del Monte don't have enough juice to get me on Rangers here. Can't take them. But, I do like the over in this one. Rangers, Rangers desperately need a win. Anything other than that, and they're almost certainly crashing out of this competition. So I do think they'll have to bring it early in this game. And, the thing about it is Giovanni van Bronckhorst has said as much. He's going to revert back to a back 4 in this game. He went with a back 5 against Liverpool last week. that clearly didn't work out for him. As look, it was a semi-respectable 2-0 scoreline on the box score for Rangers at Anfield. But Liverpool were tearing right through them from what I could see for the most part. And if it hadn't have been basically for the heroics of Alan McGregor in nets, it could have been 4 or 5-0 to Liverpool for me. So, with Van Bronckhorst potentially looking to go a little more front foot heavy in this one, with that switch from a back 5 to a back 4, coming off that 4-0 win over St Mirren at the weekend as well. And look, plus the fact, I know Liverpool have all these issues and all these problems, but they have an unbelievable scoring record in the Champions League group stage. They've scored 19 of the last 20 group stage matches overall, 95% goal return. So I can't see how we don't see at least 3 goals in this game with the way both teams are setting up here, probably more. So, yeah, I'm going to take the over 3.25 goals in this one, minus 105. To be honest, the market's still showing a ton of over 3s at around the minus 130, minus 135 mark, which is likely a better option if you can find it. But nonetheless, Rangers will have to go for it here at some point in this match, especially with the crowd backing them on, roaring them on. They won't get a better chance to do that. But look, we all know Liverpool have the quality to pick them off at the other end. So, yeah, I do see goals in this one. And I think it ticks over 3.
Yeah, Kev, I can't fault you on that. If you look at the numbers of last game, if you didn't know the score and someone told you Liverpool 61% possession, 24 attempts on goal, 10 shots on goal, what's the final score? You're thinking 3 or 4-0, but it was 2-0. So anything similar to that, and it could be you with a win instead of me on this one. Pavlos, I'm going to go to you next. Give me your thoughts on this game.
I think this is one of the points where I have to say again that Liverpool are kind of cruising for a bruising. It's no secret that they've been struggling in all fronts this season, and they're not the same. Their offense looks weird at times, and it's not just because Sadio Mane is now at Bayern Munich. Mo Salah has turned into no Salah this season. Since he signed that huge contract, he's been selling himself. I keep saying that, but it's true. Darwin Núñez, their marquee signing over the summer, recently stated that he can't understand what Jurgen Klopp is saying in the practices. I mean, what's going on? Salah with just 2 goals and 3 assists in league play. Yes, 2 goals in the Champions League so far, but he's been really off balance so far in the season. Moreover, Luis Diaz just got injured over the weekend, and he's unavailable, possibly for months. Same goes for Alexander-Arnold, which is a huge blow. Robertson on the left flank is out. Of course, Tsimikas is an adequate substitute, but even Matip got injured. So who's going to play there? They're going to use Joe Gomez at the right flank, Van Dijk possibly with Konate at the center back, and then Tsimikas at the... It's not a bad defensive line, but how many games have all these 4 played together? It's really weird. And Liverpool, they won just 2 of the last 6 matches in long competitions, 2 losses and 2 draws. Of course, this wins came in the Champions League, but they're winless after 5 matches on the road so far in the season with 3 losses and 2 draws. Well, on the other hand, Rangers, have not even scored so far in the group stage, and they are right where they should be, at the bottom of the group above the group. And however, they're always competitive at home, and now they'll have a packed stadium full of screaming Scottish people. And I'm not so sure if it's going to be an easy match for Liverpool. So I fancy Rangers' chances to not get destroyed here. So I like Rangers plus 1.5 goal at -120.
All right. Pavlos with Rangers plus 1.5. Nick, I'm going to give you the final word on this one. Tell us which way you're leaning on this one.
I have to lean to Liverpool here. We know they haven't had the best start to the Premier League campaign, but this is the Champions League, and it just seems like they're gonna have a good season in one competition or the other. Never both, but one or the other. And maybe this is their Champions League year. But that first game, 2.7 to 2.9 expected goals, somewhere in that range is what they generated. They only allowed 0.3 to Rangers, 24 shots. You guys already mentioned that. I just don't see Rangers really keeping up here. Kevin's right. They're probably going to have to push the issue to try to, which does, present some value probably to the over as well. And I think it makes me like Liverpool even more because they can, counter Rangers without too much trouble here. Napoli came in and won 3-0 in the stadium. So I think it's, very likely to see a similar type of scoreline. The one interesting thing here for the weekend coming up is that, of course, Liverpool have Man City on deck. And this game, is according to the paper anyway, or looking at the on paper, is just it should be a straightforward win. So does Klopp get cute here and sit some guys, rotate a little bit, at least part of the game? Maybe they don't start them, and if they need them, they bring guys on later in the second half. So that's the one unknown as of yet, and I don't know what that'll do to the line once that information is out there. But that is a little bit of a worry, is how Klopp decides to put out his starting 11. But I don't have enough in me to think Rangers can keep this close, even if it is a rotated side. I think Liverpool are just too deep. They got too much quality, too much depth. They'll pull away here at some point in this game. And to win by 2 goals, that first game they probably could have won by 4. I think they can cover 2 goals here. So -1.5 goals on Liverpool is how I like it.
All right, Nick Borrman with Liverpool -1.5. You can see we're pretty much split, guys, on all the opinions here. Nick and Pavlos are going mano a mano, and Kevin and I are going mano a mano. And Kev's got the boxing gloves in the background there, so I'm a little afraid about going mano a mano with the Irishman. Guys, before we get to the final game on the card and in our best bet segment, I want to remind you guys of the Final 50. This one expires this week. It is a great deal, 50% off the rest of the soccer year. It's actually the 90-day soccer package, so this will carry over into the new year as well too, as we're 10 days or 11 days into October. So use coupon code FINAL50 when selecting that 90-day soccer package, and it'll cut that $5.99 price in half. You're basically getting soccer for $100 a month. That is an absolutely great deal. All right, final game. This one goes on Wednesday at Hotspur Stadium. It is Tottenham and Frankfurt. The odds on this one, Tottenham -196 at home. The draw +342. And Frankfurt +526 on this one. A boring game on match day 3 between these two in Germany. Finishes 0-0. So why am I going over on this game? I'm going to take the over 2.75. I think we're going to see some goals in this one. Listen, Antonio Conte and his Champions League struggles confuse me. He's a very good manager, but I think he's only won about 30% or 36%, somewhere in that range, of his Champions League games. Quite a surprise for a successful manager, but this is one that Tottenham need. They need this one. It's an important one for them, and I have to think that there's some goals in this one for the home side. So give me Harry Kane, Son, and the boys scoring some goals today. I'm going to take over 2.75, and I'm pretty sure the guys are going to disagree with me. So I'm going to go to Pavlos first.
Yeah, well, I was very, very close to picking what the other guys picked because I know what they picked in that match, but I went just in a different way. I expect a cage match here between two sides that, nobody wants to lose this one. It's a very volatile group with Sporting at the first spot with 6 points. Tottenham and Frankfurt have 4 points each, and Marseille have 3. Everything is still open in this group, including who finishes fourth and gets eliminated. So I expect a very, very careful match between the two sides. That's just me. Now, when you look at the first halves of these two sides, Tottenham are 9-3 to the under 1.5 goals in the first half so far in the season, while all 3 of their Champions League matches so far had 0 goals in the first half. Now, Frankfurt, they're coming off a rare loss by 3-0 against Bochum over the weekend, becoming the first Bundesliga side to go scoreless against Bochum. So, and again, there were 0 goals in that first half. Now, Frankfurt, 9-4 to the under 1.5 goals in the first half so far. And the 4 matches that did have multiple goals in the first half were their 6-1 humiliating loss to Bayern Munich in the opener, 4-3 win against Werder Bremen, but every match with Werder Bremen involved has like an awful lot of goals, and a couple of home matches against Union Berlin and RB Leipzig. Now, they're also missing their key striker, Kolo Muani, who has been injured. So, all things considered, I see a very careful match between the two sides, and I'm going to take the under 1.25 goals in the first half at -135, which is a split line between 1 and 1.5. If there's exactly 1 goal in the first half, we get half a win. If there's 2 goals in the first half, which I don't think there will be, we'll lose. So I think it's going to be a very cagey first half with very few goals. That's why I like under 1.25 goals in the first half, -135.
All right, Nick, I'm going to head over to you next on this one. That game finished 0-0 in Germany. The XG numbers on that one at the end were Tottenham 1.36 and Frankfurt 0.90. So just based on the XG numbers, we should have seen somebody score in that game. They didn't. More of the same on Wednesday.
I actually agree with both of you guys here. If you're going to play the side, I think Spurs is the side to play. I just see a little bit more value on the under here, only because I think it could likely be a 1-goal Spurs win and land that full goal. Obviously, you're going to push on that. 2 3/4 goals is the full game total. Pavlos mentioned the first half total, which I agree with as well. And for a lot of the same reasons, I'm on the full game. I also like getting the 2 3/4 number as opposed to 2.5, because if it does settle on 3, you're obviously just getting a half loss. So I always use that as extra value. Carm, you're right. There probably should have been a goal, maybe 2 in that first game, but there wasn't many more chances than that. And I don't know if there's going to be a lot of chances in this second one as well. Tottenham looked very, very good over the weekend, a 1-0 win over an impressive Brighton side this year. So they are playing solid defense. And Frankfurt, I guess let's blame a look-ahead spot, but to lose 3-0 to Bochum, the first win for them on the year, was pretty embarrassing. Again, maybe it was a look-ahead spot, maybe not, but nothing to be excited about for them coming in here. I just don't see, a lot of action either way here. The match, Carm, you mentioned the XG numbers, 1.27 to 0.76 for Frankfurt, so the chances were slightly to Spurs, but at home here in England, I think it's going to be a Spurs win, more likely than not. I just see a little more value on what should be another slow-paced, cagey win. Spurs would be happy to take a similar win they had over the weekend, 1-0, and that would cash the under, and perhaps they get the 2-0 and cash Carm's Tottenham side as well. But I think this will be tight, and under is the way to go.
All right, Kev, we are going to give you the final word on this one. This group is up for grabs. Group D right now, you have Sporting at 6 points, Tottenham and Frankfurt both on 4, and then Marseille at 3 points. So this group's up for grabs. We could see a total different configuration of this group after match day 4. Give us your thoughts on this game.
Yeah, and because of that, Tottenham really have to step it up here, as you mentioned at the start. They haven't looked good in Europe, as you mentioned as well. Gave up those 2 late goals to Sporting, which was really poor back on match day 2, and played out that cagey draw last week as well. So yeah, they haven't really set the world alight in this competition. And look, it's been a very difficult week for them on top as well. They witnessed the pass on the fitness coach last week. He was loved at the club. Harry Kane was getting emotional interviews talking about him, Hugo Lloris as well. So, maybe that serves as some kind of catalyst here in Europe, brings the team together. Seemed to work for the Brighton game. They definitely came together as a team, but I just feel it's going to be an under as well. We've seen Tottenham get it done on defense at the weekend. I think this is a similar type of game. From a side perspective, again, I agree. I think Tottenham would be the side here. But just as Nick mentioned, I think over under 2.75, I should say, is just a slight bit too high. And I like that half protection on the 3 goals because I just don't see this getting to 3. So, yeah, I can see Tottenham winning this one 1 or 2-0 and trying to get a stranglehold in this group as a result as well.
All right, there you have it. Kevin Dolan from WagerTalk.com. And now we are going to head into our best bet segment of the show to close it off. Nick, I'm going to go to you first, but I want to remind people of that MLS package of yours. Look at these numbers. Let me see if I'm reading this right, Nick. October, the playoffs go October to October 15th to November 5th, plus 46.55 MLS profit on the year. That's a bankroll gain. That's a pretty good number. $69 MLS, 69 over. Nick, do they need a coupon code? Let us know and then give us a best bet.
No coupon code needed. Just head over to the page and you can grab that pack right as it stands. It'll be a for sale by itself, so no promo code needed. I do not have a best bet for MLS on today's show. I will have one on Thursday's show. Today, I will stick with another Champions League bet. I'm looking at taking the surprise of all of the Champions League here in Bruges versus Atletico. At some point, this has to run out for Bruges, right? I mean, 3 wins from 3 games is just insane. Atletico, in that first match, they generated 2.15 expected goals, obviously lost 2-0, and that's all that really matters, but they did create plenty of chances in that game. Now heading back home to Spain, you got to imagine, even more so, these chances created in this game are going to become lopsided. So far, both teams have played to a lot of unders. All 3 of Atletico's games have stayed under the total. Bruges, 2 of them have. The only one that didn't was their 4-0 win. Crazy surprise win over Porto. So I think this is going to be a defensive gem from Atletico, like the old school days. They need a win. They want to take down Bruges. Bruges at the same point, I don't know. They're sitting in such a good spot, 9 points already. Part of me wonders if they, it's like you take a big lead in the first half, right? And you start to play differently in the second half. I wonder if they start to really play a little differently in these last 3 games, as they know really a point from any of these games that they're sitting in a good spot. It seems very unlikely they don't qualify for the knockout rounds unless they just lose all 3 badly. So I think they can start to slow down and really try to draw out games and maybe bleed a point out or maybe win a 1-0 type of a game. So that's the reason I like the under, plus Atletico. We know what they can do defensively, but I didn't like the under and I didn't like Atletico as the current prices, but if you can combine them, and this is a same game parlay, which many of the viewers know from FanDuel or DraftKings. This one's available on DraftKings. Same game parlay, Atletico to win and under 3.5 goals. Minus 115 because the total is set a lot lower than that right now, so you can get some good value here. So I think it's a good way to play it. I think this could be a 2-0 type Atletico win, so I like that combo play.
All right, Pavlos, I'm going to head over to you. Give us a Champions League best bet.
Okay, I'm very scared of today's matches. I do have a 3-pack though, with some, a couple of goal scorer props, one side, one total. But I think this is going to be a weird week. But I'm going to give you guys a best bet from the same match as Nick said, Atletico Madrid versus Club Brugge. I'm going to start off by saying that this is an early match in the Champions League, and I can't stress this enough, but there's all kinds of malarkey going on in these early matches. So Club Brugge, last season, if you remember, they almost humiliated PSG in match day 1. They played for a 1-1 draw in Paris, and they could have easily won that one. If you saw that match, and I did, it was insane. Now, they scored in all 3 of their away matches in the group stage last season in what was the group of death. They scored twice in the 2-1 win at Leipzig. They also scored in both losses to PSG, they lost 4-1, and to Manchester City, 4-1 again. Now, this season, they're coming off 8 consecutive matches with both teams to score no, and that's quite weird for a Belgian side, so I do expect this stat to be corrected in their match at Madrid. Moreover, Club Brugge, they have not conceded a single goal in the group stage so far, which is also quite weird, and it's also a stat that I expect to be corrected as well. Now, as for Atletico Madrid, they've kept just 3 clean sheets in 11 matches in all competitions so far in the season, and they were all on the road, all clean sheets. They have yet to keep a clean sheet at home. After 5 matches, they conceded a couple of goals against Villarreal and Real Madrid. They conceded 1 goal against Porto, against Celta Vigo, and even Girona scored against them over the weekend. No, I know Simeone and his men have tremendous quality, and they are on all kinds of a bounce-back spot here, but they have a huge motive to win this one, but I have a feeling that Club Brugge will not be an easy target here. So I like both teams to score at even money. Maybe if Atletico Madrid win by 2-1, then Nick also gets his bet. So both teams to score, even money for me at Atletico Madrid versus Club Brugge tomorrow.
All right, Pavlos with the play. Kev, I'm going to go over you next. Tell us what you got in Champions League.
We got a 4% Champions League best bet loaded for today, Carmine. We got a 4% Champions League best bet loaded for tomorrow as well. I really like both spots. And remember, if you're less into penthouses and more into mid-level apartments, hit me up for MLS as well at the weekend. But, next to it, awesome. But we're going to look at tonight's game between Manchester City and FC Copenhagen for my best bet, Carm. And, a win here for City, obviously puts them through the knockout round. They've been absolutely blitzing their way through, not only the Champions League group, but across every competition, scoring an average of 5 goals per game across the last 3 starts. But, Pep Guardiola has hinted at some major squad rotation ahead of this game. City have Liverpool on deck for this weekend, as we mentioned earlier. What would have been a potential title decider just about 2 months ago. Not so much now, but they win that game. Liverpool's race is run this season, and Pep always likes to stick the welly in those type of situations. So, with Man City's rotating players, Haaland probably will get minutes, but mightn't get the full game here. I just see them coming in here, getting the win, looking to sort of shop, qualify to the next round, kind of get at a time with minimum fuss. So I just think 3.5 is too higher of a total for me, with everything we know now about City squad rotation going into this game. And with FC Copenhagen still in line for Europa League spot as well, they certainly, won't want to be pushing the action here too much against the dangerous City side. So I'm going to take the under 3.5 goals in this one later today between Manchester City and FC Copenhagen over in Denmark. Best bet.
All right. Good. Best of luck with that one, Kevin. My show best bet, guys, it's going to be a Wednesday game. I'm going to take Bayer Leverkusen at home. You're getting plus money on them. I think they are plus 108 or plus 109. They lost on match day 3 in Portugal to Porto, costing their manager his job, and it's Xabi Alonso taking over for this team. And boy, did they look different on the weekend. A 4-0 win at home against Schalke. I'm going to jump on the angle of the managerial change and a team that is going to start stringing some wins together. And I think this Leverkusen team is a team that's going to get it done. So I'm going to take them at home, plus 109 to win on match day 4. That game goes on Wednesday. Guys, thanks for tuning in. We're going to be back on Thursday. It might be Nick Borrman hosting the show, as I'll be in Vegas picking up my big novelty check from the Circa Millions contest. But if I can make it, I will be here on Thursday. If you're watching the show right now live, grab yourself a coffee. Puck Time returns. Top of the hour, myself, Andrew McInnes, and Don Buster starting the new season of Hockey Off. For myself, Nick Borrman, Kevin Dolan, and Pavlos Laguretos, this is Stoppage Time. Thanks for tuning in.
Tuesdays is known as $2 Tuesdays at WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, where you can get the hottest handicappers, best bet, or daily package for only $2.